On this episode of Simply Southern New England, we're celebrating all things fall with a trip to Apple Fest at Wachusett Mountain. Then we're going on the road to the Flume Gorge in New Hampshire. We go behind the scenes at Buns Bakery for the best VODKAs around. We'll get a cocktail at the coziest distillery in Pawtucket. And Chef Nick Raybar will show us how to make the ultimate Thanksgiving side dish. Simply Southern New England is brought to you by Harbor One Bank. With you in banking and life. It's November, which means I can smell the holidays approaching. Things are about to get hectic. That's why I'm spending the day here at the Norman Bird Sanctuary for a moment of zen. We've got a great show for you. Don't fly away. Welcome back. First up, we head to Wachusett Mountain. Before they gear up for ski season, they hosted Apple Fest, which aside from celebrating everybody's favorite fall fruit, also featured log rolling, axe throwing, magic, and live music. Let's check it out.
Apple Fest is the largest of our festival series that we do in the fall.
92!
There's over 200 craft vendors. The Sky Ride is running to the summit. We have all sorts of food and drinks and shows going on all weekend long, all sorts of family fun in the fall. The highest attendance that we've had is over 10,000 in the weekend, so 5,000 per day. And our pre-sales for today were very strong, so we're expecting a good crowd. This year we have a special show by Uprooted. It's Michael Glabicki from Rusted Root. Bullspit Brewery actually brought them in this year for an acoustic set. We also have the Axe Women, the loggers of Maine, doing their timber show. So they'll be throwing some axes and firing up some chainsaws here pretty soon.
We are a team of professional timber sports athletes, and we all compete professionally. We have world champions, world record holders, collegiate champions on our team, and yeah, when we're not traveling around competing, we're traveling around to different festivals and expos doing demonstrations.
I've been carving for almost 25 years full-time, and I've spent a big portion of that here at the Apple Fest over the years, creating different types of work and seats and benches and ski jumps and whatnot, and they've had me back this year to add to some of the old sculptures that need replacing. Oh, it's great. People are just so open to it, whether you're a man, a woman, or a child. It's a universal art form, and it makes me feel good to show them that, you know, what a chainsaw can do and share my art with them.
We have a festival series every year leading up to ski season. It starts in late August and runs all the way through November. Pretty much every weekend we have a festival. We have Apple Fest, Barbecue Fest, Oktoberfest, Beer Fest, all sorts of stuff going on here on the weekend. It's just a beautiful way to get outside and enjoy the fall weather and the foliage. The Sky Ride is pretty much the best way to see the leaves that I can think of. And it's just a good way to kind of lead up to ski season and get excited for it.
Next up, we head to the Flume Gorge at Franconia Notch State Park. Not only is this a spectacular spot for nature walks year-round, but in the winter, the gorge ices over and it becomes a prime place for ice climbing. Harness up, let's check it out.
My name is Greg Keeler. I'm the marketing director for Franconia Notch State Park, Cannon Mountain, and the Flume Gorge. The Flume Gorge has been an attraction since the early 1800s. It's the southern end of Franconia Notch State Park, which is roughly a 7,000 acre state park surrounded by national forests. This is a pretty unique space. It's a 2-mile loop that's a nature walk with graded gravel paths, boardwalks. Right now we're running it as a 2-mile loop and you end up back here in the Flume Gorge Visitor Center. Once you start on your trip through the Flume Gorge, it essentially starts at the Visitor Center and goes out towards the Flume Gorge Historic Covered Bridge. It's said to be one of the most photographed covered bridges in the state, and you can see why it's a beautiful bridge. And once you get to the Flume Gorge, you come across the Flume Brook, which runs through the gorge. And the way that the gorge was actually formed was it was a basalt dike. That's a strip of basalt that's softer than the granite around it. And over time, that got worn down and essentially cut into the shape of a gorge. Once you start your way through the gorge, you're essentially on a boardwalk. In the early days, that was very crude, sort of improvised boardwalks that looked really sketchy. We've done a little bit better than that. You go up the 152 stairs and a couple of staircases, and you eventually get to a waterfall that's just ahead of the big one. And then you come around the corner, you see Avalanche Falls, and that is the brook just coming right down into the gorge. And that's a 45-foot waterfall that's spectacular any time of year. Then you start on your way over to Liberty Gorge. And in the process of getting over there, there are a few different little viewpoints where you can stop and look at the surrounding mountains. And then you sort of make your way down towards Liberty Gorge and the Sentinel Pine Bridge. And that's a pine bridge from the 1800s that was built on top of a fallen pine tree. The story was that the king would send soldiers over to these regions to harvest what were called king pines, that were giant pine trees that were used for shipbuilding. And the story goes that there was a hurricane that knocked over one of those pines across the gorge, and eventually they decided to build a bridge on top of that tree. There's a little side trip where you can go out onto a little landing and you can actually see the giant pine tree that's underneath that bridge. I mean, there are almost endless photo opportunities right there. We do have plans in wintertime to open it up to visitors as more of a self-guided walk through the woods. In the wintertime, that water keeps running. And so when it freezes, it builds up upon itself all winter long. We have a 6-foot thick ice wall that runs all the way up to the top of the gorge, a giant icicle that attracts ice climbers in the wintertime. It's really spectacular, actually, to see the gorge in winter. Right now, we've gone to a reservation system. It's recommended that you get a reservation in advance so you can secure your spot and make sure that you get in.
Seriously, do yourself a favor and take a trip. Stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Next up, we head to Buns Bakery. A great bakery that was hatched during the midst of the pandemic. Did you know that there's a new VODKA spot in your neighborhood? There is. That's because Buns has pickup spots throughout the state. Farmers markets, community centers, Hope in Maine, you name it, they're nearby. And they are so good. Let's check it out.
So I'm Guy, and I'm the founder of Buns Bakery. Buns Bakery, it's the island of misfit toys, how do you call it in English? Basically what we do is Jewish and Israeli traditional pastries or cakes. If I try to put it philosophically, it's a collage of everything I picked up on the road, from baking to love for people, customer service. I think a lot also from my military experience. When you look at that team build up behind me. For a while I didn't know what I'm doing because I was a baker for too long and didn't know where to start. How do you start a bakery? Yeah, I can start a bakery for somebody else, but that's what I used to do. But then when it was only me, I couldn't really gather all the pieces. And when COVID hit, I just started to bake from home. You know, there was nothing else to do. So I was baking so much and stuff just stayed in the house. So one day we posted on Facebook, who wants babkas and challahs for the weekend? And I don't know how to say no. So everybody who ordered, I was like, yes, we are going to do it. I broke 2 KitchenAids that night and kept mixing by hand. Everything came out, but I never planned on it to happen. It was and oopsie, you're saying English now. That's when the whole thing exploded. Bakeries and bakers like space. So after 6 months at Open Main, we found this facility in Providence, and we were lucky enough that there was an opening, and we filled it right in. There's so much going on today that we can't do it without the team. We bake everything fresh to order, so every day there's kind of the same cycle. We come in the morning, we bake whatever we need to bake to fulfill orders, and then we start production for the day after, basically. We're focusing on Israeli products, things that I used to bake in Israel. Pretty much the staple is our babka. Every product we have, we play on the flavors, basically. So we started from chocolate babka, and then we added cinnamon, and then we have seasonal babkas like blueberry and praline pecan, and apple babka is coming next for Rosh Hashanah. We also make rugala from the babka dough. We make challah breads. We have raisin challah, onion and poppy seed challah. We constantly keep searching for more and more flavors to add to it. Customers and customer service and really having those interactions and relationships are our passion. It's not just about the sell for us, but really enjoy the whole process of growing together, and we're hoping to reach out to as many people as we can. And also, hopefully over time, make changes in people's lives, whether it's groups of populations that we can help or aid to, for the better. And that's what we're hoping for.
As things get colder, I'm always on the hunt for someplace cozy, delicious, and welcoming. And we found that in spades at Rhode Island Spirits, which is a distillery/tasting room that's home to Rhodium brand vodkas, gins, and liqueurs, which they mix into some of the most delectable libations around. Come on, let's go get our beaks wet.
Rhode Island Spirits is a small local craft distillery. We make Rhodium brand gins, vodkas, and liqueurs.
We are in a historic mill. We are just a bridge up from where it all began at Slater Mill.
We have a big space in a mill right on the Blackstone River. Half of it is a big, wide open, bright tasting room where we've got tables and chairs, but also couches and a fireplace and a sizable bar.
On the other side of the distillery is where we actually have the stills and our equipment and our ingredients and things like that.
We started as a gin distillery because we love gin. So we have a classic cocktail gin, we have a forager's gin, that's our botanical flavor, has a lot of locally foraged ingredients in it. And we branched out really early on and realized that vodka was an obvious thing to do, and our vodka actually gets distilled with some local apples, so it's not made of apple. All of our spirits are corn-based, but we put apples in the still for the last vodka distillation because it gives it a really smooth finish and a really nice local connection. We have a couple of flavored vodkas, coffee and black walnut flavored vodka, something we call Rhode Island Red. No chickens were harmed in the making. It's flavored with local cranberries, tart cherries, and then a whole range of other botanicals. And then we also do a limoncello and a grapefruitcello for the liqueurs side. So a little something for everyone.
Kara and I moved here in 2016. We had spent the previous couple of years in England.
And we did that right when craft gin distilling was really taking off. So we were really lucky we had the chance to go to small craft distilleries, places that used local flavors, that foraged local ingredients, that did really distinctive gins, and we really kind of fell in love with the whole concept.
Unbeknownst to us, we were actually honing our gin appreciation skills there, and also really dialed in on how a local ingredient can inform a product and just make it quite special and unique.
When we came back to the States and settled in Rhode Island, it just looked like the perfect place to do that because there's so much opportunity to use local ingredients here. And it gave us an opportunity to do really distinctive, wonderful products that could really only come from here.
The tasting room has been a really fun place to have people of all kinds come in and spend time. Amy is our delightful tasting room manager. Our cocktail menu changes as Amy comes up with brilliant new ideas and as we feed her the new releases and different products that are coming out. I love a fancy cocktail, and these are quite nice, but these are also things that you could acquire and achieve at home, and we're happy to give you the recipe.
It's actually one of the best things about having this company is really our opportunity to spend time with people and talk to them about what the products are and why we do what we do and get their feedback.
come in for a cocktail, or come in for grandma's birthday, or come in meeting with friends they haven't seen in a while the kids color. All ages, all really very, very diverse, which is kind of exciting that you can have a true reflection of the community, be here and be comfortable and stay a while, have a good time, relax.
Don't fly the coop. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Norman Bird Sanctuary. No turkeys were harmed in the making of this episode, so when we meet up with Nick Raybar, he's going to give us a recipe for the best Thanksgiving side dish ever. Come on. Keep on Cooking with Nick Raybar is brought to you by Wines and More of Walpole.
What's up, gang? Welcome to my kitchen, and thanks for joining me here on Keep on Cooking. Well, the holidays are upon us, and while they might mean something different to everyone, to me, they mean food. While turkey is traditionally the star of the show, this year's page-turners are the sides. Whether it's buttery mashed potatoes or grandma's famous stuffing, everyone has their favorites. But for me, this year's breakout hit is my sweet potato and bacon au gratin. To make this dish, we're gonna need sweet potatoes, applewood bacon, some beautifully caramelized leeks, heavy cream, Gruyere cheese, fontina, Parmesan, and some fresh chopped thyme. We're gonna get started by chopping up some of these sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes can often come with a little bit of a fibrous end, so I'm just gonna remove that, cut it in half, and then we're gonna cut them like a large dice. Leaving the skin on, we're gonna cut these into nice, equally sized pieces. Time for these babies to hit the jacuzzi. All right, we're gonna pop them right in there, start them from cold water, hit them with a pinch of kosher salt, fire it up, high heat. 20 minutes, guys, let them do their thing. All right, guys, next step is gonna be to make this rich Mornay-style sauce. So I'm gonna go in with some heavy cream. We're gonna go in with about 3 cups. Now, we're gonna turn the heat on like medium high, because you gotta be real careful, A, not to scorch it, and B, not to let it boil over. While it's heating up, even before it's boiling, feel the bottom of the pan. You wanna make sure that the scorch monster is not peering his ugly head out. All right, so we're gonna let that simmer. We're gonna check our potatoes. They are nice and fork tender. Fork tender means you stick a fork in, potato jumps off, it's done, okay? Kill the heat there. Let's go ahead and strain them. Gonna go right into the colander, and you can see how they're soft, but they have sort of held up their properties there. We're gonna let that sit, strain, boom. All right, now that those potatoes are strained, we're gonna start to finish off this Mornay sauce. We've got 2 types of cheeses, fontina and Parmesan. We're gonna put just the right amount in. So put in just a little bit of the fontina, a little bit of Parmesan, pinch of kosher salt. Now you definitely wanna be stirring, okay? All right, that's looking perfect. Cheeses are in, heat's killed. Let's go put this together. All right, guys, this is where it gets good. We wanna mix all these ingredients together before we place them in the baking vessel. So we've pre-cooked our sweet potatoes here, which is essential because we can control the doneness of the potato. Now I have my pre-caramelized leeks, which are gonna go right into the mix. Bacon, which we've touched on but didn't really talk about. Beautiful large cut bacon. We don't want this bacon to be lost. This is a sweet potato and bacon au gratin. Let all that bacon fat drip in there. Pinch of thyme right in. Now, let's go. Let's go chasing waterfalls. Put in that Mornay sauce, okay? You want a little bit extra, and I'm gonna explain to you why in just a minute. So now that all of that is combined, we're gonna mix it. Mix all that up beautifully. And now what you're gonna do is you're gonna go into a baking dish of your choosing. I'm using this cast iron pan. It's actually made right in Providence, Rhode Island by Matt, a RISD graduate, who owns Nest Homeware. He makes incredible cast iron pans. Now, as you see, we're going in. We want this to have a nice amount of cream because we're not done with the cheese yet, okay? We're gonna place this Gruyere cheese on top, all the way to the edge, and now we're gonna bake it. We're gonna preheat the oven at 500 degrees. All right, pop it in, high heat, see ya. So now you got about 15 minutes, so go ahead and kill some time.
Good idea.
Break's over, back to work. Okay guys, so 15 minutes later, we'll take a little peek and you can see how that cream is bubbling around the edges. The top has browned sensationally. All right guys, there it is. We're gonna finish it with some fresh chopped thyme, a little bit more fresh Parmesan. That's about as good as it gets. Guys, no matter what you're making this holiday season, make sure you enjoy every second of it. Until we meet again, it's your old pal Nick Raybar telling you to keep on cooking.
Hey everyone, my name is Nicole Manetsky and I'm here in the Wines & More in Walpole, Massachusetts to tackle another perfect pairing with Chef Nick's sweet potato and bacon au gratin. This week we chose a wine called Côte Mas, a Cremant Le Mou from the south of France. The region is the birthplace of French sparklings before Champagne even became famous. The wine is 60% Chardonnay, 20% Chenin Blanc, 10% Pinot Noir, and 10% a local grape called Mauzac. On the nose, you'll get delicate notes of pear and peach, as well as citrus and brioche. All of these notes continue to carry out throughout the palate, honing in on the citrus and brioche flavors. The finish is pleasant and leaves your mouth wanting another sip. This wine is light and bright and a perfect palate cleanser in between each bite of creamy au gratin. The acidity of this wine and the bubbles balance out the fattiness from the bacon and Parmesan. Come on down and give Côte Mas Cremant Le Mou a taste and see for yourself. We hope to see you exploring the many different wine selections we have here at Wines & More in Walpole. Cheers.
Well, I'm wrapping up my day here at the Norman Bird Sanctuary, where they have programming year-round and are open 9 to 5, 7 days a week, 363 days a year. Be sure to come by and check them out. Time for me to fly away. See you next time. Simply Southern New England is brought to you by Harbor One Bank. With you in banking and life.